Also, you've been on this tour now with the new album. The new album. Forgot. Kairos. Okay, Kairos. So, are you playing the songs because it hasn't been launched yet,
Right.
right?
We're playing a few songs, and it's going to come out at the end of June, I think, here in the U.S., June 23rd, somewhere around there. But we're playing two songs from the album, the title track, Kairos, and it's going really well. You know, we're getting a lot of really positive response from playing the songs.
Okay. And what is the message on this album?
This message is we've done an album primarily about the history of Sepultura and the relation of time, why we're so significant today, and certain moments in time were very important, where certain things happen, not from actually calculating when something is supposed to happen, but it just happens just for the fact of wanting to do something. And Kairos is like a Greek method of time, not chronological time that people keep time of on a watch, but a time that's very different from when certain things, important things, or very positive things happen that aren't planned. And so the group I think, has had a history of that, of just doing things with a feeling and attitude, and having certain events lead from that.
Okay, great. And then I noticed that recently you had the cover of the album, on your Facebook, and then you were asking for opinions. I wanted to know what was the meaning of that cover, is if there's any,
Because
and why.
there's actual, it's Greek, the term Kairos, and actually it has two meanings. Of one is like for weather, and also this concept of time. So the mythological figure was like a winged figure, and there's an hourglass that's being held by the figure, and so time is the concept of time and everything. With there's like a young hand that's holding the glass, and then like an old, like distorted one. I think certain life is like that. You can either choose certain things that can lead to either like very productive things or very like destructive things, and these are constantly happening within this world. And so I feel it was very powerful, the cover, and it was done by a fan of ours that we gave the idea of the concept of the album, and a few hints of what we were looking for, and then they were able to come up with this whole mythological being, and combine, those elements from hints that we gave him, also from him going online and finding information about it.
Nice. Did you write any of the songs in the new album?
Wrote a lot of the lyrics with Andreas, and we were really primarily, it was kind of like a fighting album, kind of response with our music for different things through the media and the changes that have happened throughout the band, and our struggle to really be relevant to this day. And so I think a lot of it is a reflection, an answer to a lot of the times when we weren't speaking on the media about different splits, or different people leaving the band, or different people entering the band. We've always been using our music as a representation of how we feel, and it continues with this new album in that way, and also in the lyrics.
Okay, thank you. You are very close to your fans. I know that you're very close to the public, and I'm pretty sure you've been following Sepultura before you joined. So do you feel any difference between the crowd then and now?
I think there's definitely a difference. I mean, people, with the differences, a lot of similarities. I mean, I think the passion for music is there with fans. I think certain time periods that things happen, for example, the 80s, will never be replicated again the same way that it was when certain things are coming out, or the 90s. I think some people may try to go back in time and try to do those things, but it will never be the same. I think fans are, along with the certain things that are happening around not only our music, but just in general, really makes up for people's, in appreciation of music. Um, so I think what the difference between like older fans and newer fans, there's a lot more music that's out there. And so I think we've been able to stay on the path of experimenting and trying different things in our music and not being so stuck in our past, which is, you know, as an artist, really important to evolve and to try different things. And so for us, it's always important to keep ahead of the times and keep up with what's happening in our own lives and what's happening around us. And so I think our fans are kind of the same way. There's older fans that are, you know, remembering the past and reliving some of the moments that they had from seeing maybe old Sepultura or old stuff. So I think with the new fans, they don't know the past. They've never seen like the old lineup, and so they may know the songs,
Right.
but they're expecting, you know, the new songs. You know, they're feeling that a little bit more because it's happening now. You know, and they can really relate to that a lot more.
Okay. And you are a guy from Cleveland, Ohio, and then you've been living in Brazil for about 10 years now, and then now you also have your baby in Czech Republic. So how are you managing, you know, first of all, how did you, you know, join the, how did your interest in heavy metal start? You know, you're from being from Cleveland, Ohio, and then how did you just move to Brazil, and
Right.
what is the difference in your life? Because now you're probably going from here to Brazil to
Right.
Europe and crazy life.
Right. I definitely didn't plan for it to be this way, but I always wanted to do music and really heavy music. I started at a very young age by going to shows. At like 14, I started going to hardcore and punk rock shows. I fell in love with the atmosphere of the shows and what was going on, and I felt a connection. I liked the fact that people were like, you know, it made people move, that style of music, or want to, you know, they're jumping around, or there's a pit and people, you know, really being physical, you know, and I'd never seen anything like that at that age, and I felt that was something that I wanted to experiment with and try. And so from then on, it was like my fascination after seeing the first shows of like hardcore and punk rock, and then I got a little bit into metal, but not too much. I wasn't really into the lyrics so much of metal at that time, because it was very limited, and it was something I couldn't really relate to. A lot of it dealing with fantasy or mythology. And, I thought hardcore and punk rock was more social and writing about politics and things that I could really relate to. But as metal grew, I became more connected with it. I ended up having a band and playing in many bands before Sepultura, hardcore and punk rock.
Does it still exist? Or what was the name of it?
No, these bands ended up breaking up.
Did it have a name?
Yeah, I started, one of my first bands was called Outface, and then I moved to, and that was in Cleveland, Ohio, and then we played for about 8 years and toured Europe and toured around the U.S., and a lot of the members ended up playing in different bands, and I ended up moving to New York and having another band that was called Alpha Jerk, and another band that was called Overfiend, and they lasted for a very short time, but that was around the time that a person from the record label of Sepultura at the time, a friend of mine, told me that they were looking for a singer, and they had a tape with one song, a new song with no vocals, and they were giving it to many different people around the world, auditioning people to see what they could come up with. And I decided I would try it out as well, and did my own idea of the vocals, and sent it to them in Brazil, and then I heard it like maybe a month later. They asked me to come to Brazil to audition. So I came down for 2 weeks and got to meet everyone and their family, and then we went to the studio and rehearsed some of the new songs and tried it out, and then a month later they asked me to come back to Brazil, and that's when we started really working on the first album together.
Was that your first contact with Brazil ever?
First contact with Brazil, first contact with those guys. It was definitely exciting and different experience. I didn't know what to expect, and it ended up being, something that grew. It wasn't something that happened really quickly. It was a lot of work and a lot of people looking at us of what's going to happen with the future, and not, it's a lot of expectations. So, we just stayed focused and stayed together to try to stay focused on the music and not worry about the press and the fans and everything that was going on around us, because people were very critical, and they weren't necessarily nice. But for us, it was the most important thing was to stay true to ourselves and represent what we wanted to do and stay true to that.
Yeah, and now your Brazilian fans, mostly fans, they're crazy about you. And then I know that you did an orchestra, a concert with an orchestra in Brazil, and that had a very good feedback. So are you planning on doing that on tours, or what?
Well, after that feedback, which was really positive, and I thought it was great that there were really young people in the orchestra that were excited about it, and the fact that it was really getting people who may not be interested in classical music, who are younger, interested in seeing the connection between rock and classical music. We felt that, we could possibly do this on a touring basis, as far as going to different places in the world and in doing that, or even doing an album surrounding an orchestra. So we're definitely working on that idea to try to do something like that in the future, because I think it would be tremendous to do it on a huge level and do a tour, on that level. I think it would be interesting for people who are in metal and who aren't in metal, and really do something very unique.
Okay, and just
yeah,
not so much.
Take your time.
Really, let's see. Okay, there's a lot of Brazilian people here in Phoenix. I don't know if you know. Do you know your public, your fans here in Phoenix?
Here, I think there's Brazilians everywhere.
Yeah, I know. We are everywhere. But I don't know if you wanna, leave a message for your Brazilian fans, maybe in Portuguese.
Acho que é muito legal tocar aqui para vocês, e é sempre bom quando viu muitos brasileiros em vários lugares do mundo, e acho que é do caralho. Sempre tem uma força forte, ajuda muito a música do Sepultura, e acho que é só isso. Obrigado pelo suporte, pelo tudo, e valeu.
Obrigada. One last question, just because I know your fiance is in Czech, in the Czech
Republic of Czech.
Yeah, and your son too. And tomorrow is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So, do you have any message for your mom or your baby's mama?
I think mother's, it's extremely important. After having a child, the significance is even stronger. I don't think I could be able to do anything without the support of, my fiance, and I appreciate, everything that she's doing, raising, our child a lot of times alone, and it's not the easiest thing, but she does the best that she can, and it's something magical to see your child happy and healthy and well, due to her hard work, and it's 24/7 the work, there's not many days off, so, that's something that, it can't be measured in anything, but it's really appreciated, and, a lot of love, it's just unbelievable to have somebody so supportive in there, so it's an incredible feeling, incredibly lucky, to have that.
And how are you handling, by the way, being in Brazil, being
Well, I think the best is just a matter of communicating as much as possible with, the internet emails or through Skype. But I think as, time goes on, actually bring everything closer. I think the important thing is to figure out a way of doing, let's say maybe, significant shows, not to do everything that's being thrown at us, but to do things that are really, big shows, really important shows, and try to have a balance, and so after this tour, I plan on going on vacation, family vacation, and the more shows we do in Europe, it's the better for us, because then we have more time to be with each other, or have the ability to be with each other more. But as time goes on, I think we can work out a better balance, so it's not so distant and for such a long time.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? Any messages? Any expectations for tonight's concert?
It's good to be back in the U.S. It's like a whole new challenge. A reintroduction of the band for people to get to know the band again who haven't seen us in a long time. And I think we're really excited. It's going well, this tour, and we look forward to being back here for a Kairos tour completely. And it's we really missed a lot of the U.S., so it's great to be back here and in North America in general playing.
Yeah, thank you so much again for seeing me and for the interview.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
No worries.